Hey, it's Sam with parkingyourinvestments.com. As always, I am your host, and today we are going to be discussing what makes a good parking market. I get this question all the time. Hey, so what is a good parking market, and how do you decide which one that you should be investing in? Because as you probably can imagine, any city in the U.S. has parking. And some of those cities are places that we want to invest, and some of them are not. So real briefly, we are going to go over why we select certain markets and why we do not, and just give you a few example cities of places that would be good, where we probably already own stuff and also, are always on the lookout for more. So here we go. Real quickly, what makes a good parking market? First off, not the coast. Why, you may ask? Because the price of land, the cost of taxation, the regulatory compliance, the things that make cities like New York City and Los Angeles difficult to invest, those are all the reasons we don't want to be there. When there are variables such as taxes and or high taxation and things like that coming into play, we just say, hey, look, it's just not worth duking it out. Also, it's hard to make those assets cash flow. There's a reason that a lot of California investors are investing elsewhere in the country, because they can't get cash flow off of their real estate in California because the price of the land or the price of the building is so high. So we want to look for places that have steady cash flow. So one, not the coast. Secondly, not small towns. So if you're going to go to a small town, and I'm talking, small town as in there's the courthouse square, and there might be a paid parking lot there. There might not be. The thing about really small towns, and there's lots and lots of them, is that there's just not the demand. And usually, I'm thinking there's a town, I'm thinking here in Tennessee, there's one that comes to mind. It's Columbia, Tennessee. They were having a big problem even with parking downtown. So, they're putting out letters and doing parking studies and putting stuff in the newspaper and talking about, oh man, look at the parking drama we're having in downtown Columbia. You would think that that's a great place to go and buy a parking lot or put up a parking lot, whatever, have a parking garage, because there's clearly no parking. Not so much. If you really dial in on it, you'll find that all people have to do is walk an extra block, maybe two, and they are in as much free parking as they can possibly find. So you don't want to buy somewhere where parking, especially free parking, can be found relatively easily. So small towns like that, you definitely want to avoid. Not going to have the taxation issue, not going to have the price of land issue, you're just not going to have the demand, which is all what this business is about. The third place you don't want to find parking is rapidly gentrifying cities. So places like, you can find parking in Nashville, Tennessee. I assure you, those lots are trading hands. I also assure you that they're trading hands on a cap rate, which we'll go over at some other point in time what the cap rate is, but they're trading hands on a cap rate that just doesn't make sense for cash flow again. These are parcels or garages that are being traded basically for redevelopment. So you just can't buy. Again, the name of the game in parking is, first off, it is a cash flow play. So we buy for cash flow. And if it's not able to produce the cash flow, we don't want it. So rapidly gentrifying cities, they're great, because if you own some lots there, you could resell them, and we do. If we do own them there and happen to buy at the right time and the right price, then you could sell those for a hefty profit. But that being said, that's not going to happen all the time. So again, rapidly gentrifying cities, probably a tougher place to be. Think somewhere with lower taxes. So, or at least a steady, predictable tax. There is a lot of places right now where the newly elected taxing officials are doing everything they can to hammer the commercial sector with higher taxes. So you want to kind of try to avoid those cities. Places that are traditionally good parking markets, just for examples, we own some properties in some of these cities, but not all of them, but places like St. Louis, Kansas City, Indianapolis, Oklahoma City, Detroit, Pittsburgh. Basically take the edges of the country, take those off, and then go right down the middle. Any of the cities right down the middle of the country, and even the Carolinas, those are great places to be. So If you look in those cities and can find a lot or two or three to buy in those locations, that's typically a good move. So those are the places you want to look. What makes a good parking market? You know, we've already said it, and to just repeat it, it is somewhere with lower taxes, steady demand, and not rapidly gentrifying, not a small town, and not the coast. So right down the middle of the country, find those cities, find lots in there, find them, and we've already gone over in other videos on the good locations for parking lots, but that should hopefully help you get started on your way to determining which city or cities you wish to start investing in.